going.
Okay. All right. So it's been several weeks, but we left off with, again, when you get back in the now, what do you do with it? Because you can misuse the now just like we can misuse illusory mind, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
You can come back into the now and just, really bite down on complaint. Yeah?
And most of us do that, right? That's what most people do when they come back.
Sadly, that's the case. So and again, the now is as close as we can get to actually being aligned with life.
Because it's all we're ever going to actually have.
Well, no, that's true. But also that's all we're ever going to have. I mean, what we have, once again, is that word that does not reflect the actual point of the word, which is totality. Yeah, which means all of time and all of space in each now. Yeah. So why this is important is because people bitch and moan about how boring and mundane life is. Well, if you go into the reality of the fact that every now contains the Big Bang and whatever's going to happen to galaxies as they expand billions of years from now, each now contains that. And this is what we have been given. Yeah? So that is not mundane.
Yeah, it's a gift, or the best way I can describe it is a gift. It is like a miracle that has been bestowed upon us, and you can do with it what you will. You can sit there and bitch and complain.
If you actually realize what that means, right, your life can be renewed any moment, any moment. If you don't, if that remains a thought, then it will not help you at all.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so this is how to take it out from just a thought and make it kind of a reality in your life.
Right. And the way you do that is to return to it and really, really consider it. Not just going, yeah, I'm involved with totality. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, but before we proceed, because we got a hiccup the last time we tried to do this, we're working now on two levels of reality, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. So in terms of the world, with you as a man in his late 20s, there are a bunch of knowings that you need to deepen and explore, right? So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the big issues, like what is life? What is death? What am I? What is here and now? See? So with those ideas, again, I've told you in the past that the third patriarch of Zen Buddhism in China said, seek not the truth, only cease to cherish. One translation, it's conviction. The other translation, it's opinions. And I think that both of those words are inappropriate for what they actually meant. Because on the mega scale, in terms of these questions, right, I would say, seek not the truth, only cease to cherish preconceptions. See?
So don't seek the truth about any matter about life. It's not the truth that's important. It's about not holding a conviction that it is a certain way.
Right, that is correct.
Because that kind of puts it small. It makes it smaller.
Like tiny. Again, we use the word totality and it has no punch. There's no punch. Yeah? It's like, yeah, totality. You might as well say mayonnaise. Yeah? That's because we have not bitten down hard on these ideas, so they remain ideas. Yeah? And then again, there's no nutritional value. And this is why the Zen guys were so reticent about giving answers, because then people walk away with an intellectual answer as though that's actually going to do anything.
Instead of mulling over the concept or the idea and having it become kind of part of you and really taking it into your awareness, and your understanding.
Into your gut. Yeah? Yes, indeed. So again, we're not talking about knowledge of the world, like all the endless things that we need to do, like voting. Yeah? But this is a whole other thing. This is a whole other thing. So again, we did talk about in the Tao Te Ching, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it's pretty close, where it says, claiming to know is a disease. first know you are ill, and then you can move towards health. Well, clearly we're not talking about driving a car and making an omelet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Right?
It's about the big things. It's
It's
about
big
those
things.
big
Yeah.
questions that you talked about a minute ago.
Hi, hi. And again, one of the foremost is, what am I?
And
That's one of the
yeah,
foremost big questions. Yeah? No?
yeah, and people have been asking that question, for since the beginning of history.
And anybody with a degree of curiosity asks those questions. Again, by and large, most of us don't ask these questions at all, ever. Yeah?
Yeah,
Which is terrible sorrow, because then life is maintained as this tiny, tiny little thing. And it's not.
yeah,
It is not.
yeah.
Huh?
I think one of the good benefits about not going to school is those were important questions to me ever since high school, and I was allowed to pursue them. And so that was, from a young age, I've been allowed to pursue them. And where at school, you probably have to, I'd have to spend my time on history and science and math, which is also a good thing. I missed out
No,
on that.
the real deal is we got to do both.
Hi.
See, got to do both, and that's why most people don't. Yeah, but again, this is a worthy endeavor. It's beyond worthy. It's beyond worthy to settle into the question of these things. You dig?
Yeah.
Yeah. And remember, we referenced way back when we did our last round that Korean song master, which is Korean for Chan or Zen, saying knowing is better than not knowing, right? Understanding is better than knowing. Comprehending is better than understanding. Integrating is better than comprehending. So this is the process. You dig? Now,
Yeah.
this is all, so we could say, well, then we're talking about learning something. The paradox is what we're learning about is how to unlearn.
Yeah. Hi.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
And then we go back to the Tao Te Ching again, right? In gaining worldly knowledge or in gaining the world, daily things are added. In gaining the Tao, daily things are taken away. So this is part of the balance that in order to have a complete life, yeah, we have to pay attention to both of these levels of being. One being foundational and the other being relative to making our way in the world. And they're both very important. Yeah.
Mhm.
But our focus right now is on the foundational stuff. As the Zen guys say, on the root, not the branches and the leaves. Yeah.
And taking it and making it our own and really mulling over it and not understanding it, but
And the
but
way to do that is to bring it up
exploring.
and then say, okay, what do I actually think about this? See? So what do I actually think about it? Huh? And again, to say, I told you, with my old friend in New York, when I brought up the koan that I've been working on, Who Hears, for now almost 13 years, and have not begun to exhaust it, you
Yeah.
understand? Not a little bit. Yeah. And, he said, well, he goes, I'm a teacher, I'm a father, I was a husband, I'm a taxpayer. And it's like, no, those are your roles.
Hmm.
That's your role in the relative place. Yes? Yeah? So again, that is not what you are. Yeah? So
Yeah.
again, all those ideas that he had, as far as being in the world, they have validity. Yeah? And they're true. Yeah? But as far as foundationally, your relationship with eternity, you dig, with
Yeah.
totality, with always and everywhere. That's what totality is. See? And even saying it like that, it's like, always and everywhere. Big deal. What's the big deal? The big deal is it's an astonishingly big deal. Yeah. Like really big. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of that is our backyard. And in dismissing all that, our lives remain, again, these tiny little affairs that are based on our own ideas about what's what. And again, small wonder that we then live our lives in quiet despair.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good example, but there's that video of William Shatner going up into space, and he comes down and he cries. He's like, "Oh, it's, such a thin veil between us and space," and it was so impactful and made him change his whole perspective, and he's crying when he's doing it. But it's like
Good. That's
you
good.
can
That
you
is
can
good. And again, you can do that looking at an ant.
yeah, and you can do that every single night when we go
Right,
outside. You can look
right.
up and it's right there, you know.
It's right there. Eternity is right there. It's right there. Like that old black guy with white people want to go to outer space. We're already in outer space. Yes.
Yeah,
But again, outer space, even that then becomes a fixed idea somehow. Yeah. You
maybe
know,
through our interpretation of science, or
yeah.
just the
Yeah.
Western interpretation.
Which again, endlessly, the thing that is so wonderful about astrophysicists, wherever they are on planet Earth, is they do acknowledge that they are dealing with theories, not facts. Yeah, and that's wonderful. That is wonderful because then the intrinsic, miraculous miracle of all this is not shrunken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Dr. Michio Kaku a lot, the
right.
Asian guy.
A great guy.
I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson gets a little bit rigid in his.
He's also Degrassi is full of himself. I'm sorry, he really is. And the Japanese guy is not. He is full of the wonder of being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's like a
Yeah.
little boy just exploring. But
And again,
well,
see,
so
Degrassi is real big on answers, and the Japanese guy is real big on deepening question.
mhm,
As was Carl Sagan. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And Carl
It's
Sagan rocked, man. He was one.
exploring the theoretics of these ideas, without
Right.
saying this is how it is or should be, what could be, or what might be.
Well, for instance, when we say, if you were to say, well, okay, Chris, I'm not what I do as my core, right? Then I'm a human being. Well, again, that is equally a title. You being a human being, does that help you incorporate your relationship with the Milky Way galaxy?
I mean, in most cases, like we're talking about, people would say, like in the general Western world, they'd probably say no because they got to pay their bills and they got to go to work and they got to do
Right,
their
right.
normal mundane tasks, and so they would probably say,
So once again, they're stuck on that way of looking at the extravagance of being alive in eternity. You see, yeah. And I've said to you before, and I say to anybody who says this, well, how do these ideas help me? And the answer is they don't help you pay the bills. They will not do that, but they will balance the mundanity of that. You dig? If you really deepen into these facts, these truths. You are part, you come from and you live in the Milky Way galaxy. You don't live in Santa Fe, New Mexico alone.
yeah,
You did. So to say you live in Santa Fe, then a whole bunch of these little definitions of what you are, white as opposed to brown, Democrat as opposed to Republican, I hope, right? Male versus female, blah, or all the endless LBG XYZs, right? So then these relative definitions have merit. They have a place. But again, in terms of the big issues, where did I come from and where am I going? What the Zen guys call the great matter of birth and death. Yeah,
mhm,
I come from my mom and my dad. Chris, everybody knows that. What's the big deal? It's like, no, you do not come from your mom and dad. That is the vehicle that you get here via, but that is not the cause. Okay, the cause is RNA and DNA, Chris, according to contemporary scientific theory. You dig? It's like, okay, that is still not the cause. That is the method. That is not the cause. So, what is the cause? And you might get to a place where, in honesty and humility, you say, shit, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. I
and
really,
people kind of have said that it's kind of like a child asking, why over and over and over again. But what the point of it is to do is it's to make us to take away our preconceptions
hi,
and say, wait, we don't actually, we've put
hi,
all these ideas, rigid ideas on it, which we need to do in a real life world, but when we're really exploring something.
Pardon me, you just said real life world as opposed to what we're talking about is not real life. It is
You know,
real life.
opposed to the working life world
Okay,
where you have to
okay,
go to
okay.
work.
It's imperative to make that distinction because
Yeah,
what we are talking about is not imaginary,
yeah,
yeah? And it is not fairy tale, right? And it is not unimportant. It
yeah,
is just as real as making a paycheck. You
uh,
dig?
yeah,
Right? But we don't focus on it because, again, we tend to be exhausted by the requirements, yeah, of modern living,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
true.
And an endless complaint I hear from people is, is life just you go to work and then you go home and then you die, or life's a bitch and then you die, and this is like basically the best counter that you can have to that because it can make all of it not that, and
Not
it isn't
mundane.
that.
Not mundane. It is
Yeah,
not mundane. Your existence is not mundane. My existence is not mundane. A bird's existence is not mundane, right? Shopping is mundane. Paying the bills is mundane. See? So this is about all life have balance. This is part of an essential balance if we want to really, really have a sense again of the mystery and the miracle of being alive. Yeah? I mean, going shopping is not going to do that for us. It's not going to do it. It's going to keep us with food and
yeah.
clothing, right? Which is important. But as far as inspiration, it is not there.
Nourishing you through those times where you're like, is life just a bitch and then you die, and helping you see a different perspective. It's not going to help you there.
You mean
Shopping.
no shopping? No, it will not. It will not. It will balance the mundanity of it. Will balance um, um, the same old of the routine of work. Let's say, yeah. But it only has merit. It only has nourishment if, again, these ideas are taken to more depth, so that then they cease to be passing ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So for you, just so we can go a little bit deeper, what do you think might be the not the mechanism, but the cause?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because
The cause of all this, I have no idea.
well, so if we go deeper of just a person, right? Or what was the two words you used? Because you used the mechanism, and I don't think it was the cause. I think it was a different word you used.
It was the cause and the method or the mechanism.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
that's true. Yeah.
So
Which,
so if we go a little bit deeper, but be a little, more lower. I don't know what the word, not the right. I don't know what the right word is, but if
deeper
we
is the
go,
right word.
yeah,
Deeper is the
deeper
right word. Yeah, yeah.
than RNA and all
DNA.
that in DNA.
Right, right, right. And once again, that is still the mechanism. That
Hmm.
is not cause.
Yeah.
What caused, and this is that renowned Zen koan that says all things return to the one. What does the one return to? You
Hmm.
see? Now, if we apply that koan to the Big Bang, we would say all things return to the Big Bang. What does the Big Bang return to? And then what they're beginning to talk about, at least in the latest Marvel movies, is the multiverse.
So this is just for my own kind of help, but um, so so um, I guess our DNA was different in millions of years ago when we were not here on the planet yet, when we were just like fish or whatever floating around in the ocean. So DNA evolves, right, according to science,
Well,
and so
no, it doesn't necessarily evolve, but what it does, there are latent strands in the RNA and DNA, is the thing,
yeah,
right? And it's the strands. I mean, every single thing on planet Earth shares the same DNA except for a couple of strands.
a
I
human
mean, we're only
and
a couple of strands away from being a frog.
so what do they say in science that created those strands to create humans? What caused it?
What they will
Evolution,
say is elements.
element,
Elements did.
elements and
Right.
evolution, right?
Right. Well, yeah, evolution comes much, much, much later because evolution is really only specific to life forms on planet Earth as far as we take it, because that's
Yeah,
all we know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
but
still trying to
you
get
know,
to a deeper cause, because these are all still mechanisms, right?
Right,
Everything that we're
right, right.
talking
What
about.
you're doing, still, you see, what you're doing now is you're looking for an answer to that
Yeah,
instead of really contemplating the fact that you don't know. I don't know
yeah,
the causes. I don't know. I really don't know. Right now, some people would say, "Well, that's terrifying."
yeah.
I don't think it's terrifying. I think it's wonder filled. Yeah,
Doesn't
because
scare
I'm
me.
here.
Yeah, it
Hi,
doesn't scare
hi,
me at all.
hi, hi. Well, a
Like,
lot of people are scared.
yeah, death is a little bit more, death scares me when I think about that really,
But
deeply.
once again, death does not scare you. Your idea of death scares you, and your idea of death is that you become vacuity.
I'm
Yes,
sure,
right?
yeah, I'm sure
I
it
mean,
does.
you're not worried about going to hell, right?
I'm just worried about whatever it is that this is not gonna be here anymore, and
Right.
that I won't remember this.
That is exactly right. Now, if you align with your conscious mind as you're right. That changes every millisecond, right? One of the wonderful things about meditation, which is I am so grateful to the people in Asia who worked this one out, Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra guys, all the way to the Buddha and like that,
Yeah,
right? Is that they took the time to really investigate what is the nature of my mind. You
yeah,
see?
yeah,
Yeah. And again, if you go deep enough into your mind, what you come upon is awareness, which is not the same as consciousness, not the same thing. And the only way that you can know this is through the practice. I'm sorry, we can talk about this till the cows come home, but the only way that you as an individual can experience this is by taking on the rigor of a consistent meditation practice. And then at a certain point, it's not a rigor anymore. It is a fucking retreat and refuge. And then it becomes a joy.
hi.
It becomes a joy. Yeah. And again, so this is big mind that Suzuki Roshi talked about, is awareness as opposed to consciousness. Entiendes? You understand this?
We've talked about it a little bit, so I might be able to explain what I believe to be the difference, but
That's all I want you to do is to
yeah,
explain what you believe. Don't you see? Right?
yeah,
With the understanding that then we need to take it deeper. You
yeah,
dig? Right? But with both you and me, this is not just you, this is all of us, but this is what we do. We've been trained to believe that we should apply the same mechanism that we use to fix a flat tire or to prepare a meal with looking at the foundational issues of being in eternity. And it's the wrong tool for the wrong job. It's wrong. It's like trying to wash dishes with a hammer. It just doesn't work.
yeah.
Yeah? It makes everything too small. It makes it too small. Yeah? You
Instead
know?
of the unknowing, where you take away all ideas and you look at something and it's miraculous because all those
Don't
words
say
they
it's
use.
miraculous. Don't say it's miraculous yet. Just say it's fresh. You're
Hi.
looking at it with a degree of freshness. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, what might it be? And I told you as a kid, there was, ironically, that television commercial that was pushing knowing above all things when we're talking about unknowing,
yeah.
right? However, I told you this. The little girl comes running in the living room. Dad's reading the newspaper. She goes, "Daddy, Daddy, why is the sky blue?" And he goes, "Well, the sky is blue because why is the sky blue?" And in that moment, right, he was Christ, except ye be as little children. He went back to an actual, open, honest, humble state of considering something that is, fairly mind blowing if you go into it. No, it's not, Chris. It's just the sky. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean just? Yeah? And how is it that if all this is supposed to be an accident, yeah, how did the sky articulate with such astonishing beauty? How can that happen? How?
Yeah. It reminds me, just going back to Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse Tyson, is one comes away with just kind of wonder, like childlike wonder, where the other kind of comes away with not really a
With
whole lot.
self-satisfaction.
Yeah,
Self-satisfaction. Yeah? And again, maybe because he is one of the first black astronomers, right? And he's actually made a very good living at it. Part of him needs to do that. I don't know, but
well, we don't even need
um,
to bring them up, but just some form of science, science is all about understanding. You know, they want to break
Well,
it
but
down to
that's
all of its core
no, no,
elements.
no. Yeah. Science is mostly about questioning. It is not about knowing. Right now, if you're building a bridge and you're saying that is science, you're right. That is engineering,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
But again, the wonderful thing about astrophysics is that if you approach it either as a mathematician or as somebody, again, with the Hubble telescope and stuff like that, what you come back to very quickly is, holy shit, I don't know. I mean, the fact that we can look back with the Hubble telescope almost to the beginning of all of this because of different frequencies of light reaching us is
Yeah.
like, you can tell me that's not miraculous? I mean, how does that work? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. But in contemplating it with the humility of not knowing, my God, it begins to open up into grandeur and majesty and beauty, right? Small things to have in life.
And
Yes?
like you said, it can all become fresh again.
I, over and over and over. And this is Don Juan with Castaneda. With Castaneda, I know you know this quote, but it's a good one to do right now as we're rolling. Castaneda says to Don Juan, are there really new worlds to discover, Don Juan? And Don Juan says, you fool, we have exhausted nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
Now, because of our puny little ideas, that is what we then think life is. Not the mystery of life, but our tiny little ideas of what life is. And then small wonder, right? We are sort of embedded in this very, very tiny view of what we've been given. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And it kind of brings up to me like the idea of like, I don't know, space exploration, how people are spending so much time on space exploration and then not taking care of the planet that we live on, and how, there's, it's like we could, I don't know, it just seems like just a weird way to think about life.
Well, actually, I think that our exploration of space is a beautiful thing. I think that our spending, two-thirds of our nation's tax money on war and weaponry, that's where it's fucked up. That's
Yeah.
where it's fucked up. Yeah, I mean, the fact is, every time you see any of the photographs that come from the Hubble telescope, does that not instantly put you into a state of awe and wonder? I mean, awe and
Yeah.
wonder instantly. Like
Yeah. I
instantly.
don't even know what I'm looking at.
Hi, hi, hi. And once again, even out there, right? It's beautiful. I mean, and again, well, is beauty a human response? Or it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I do know that along with a flower, looking at the night sky, it's breathtakingly beautiful. It's just beautiful.
And so it doesn't really matter if it's a human emotion that we place upon it or not. It exists for us.
Indeed. And how fortunate we are to have that capacity.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake, Chris, it's just an interpretation of what's going on. It's like, yeah, well, so is life's a bitch and then you die, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah. So the fact is, the beautiful thing about coming back to question is that then everything. Reading a few days ago one of the Zen tomes where it says the Bodhisattva rests in inconceivability, in that all things are conceivable. Right? That's really, really very important to chew on, not just go. Let's move
Yeah.
along. Yeah, yeah.
So say the first part, just say the whole thing one more time.
Right. The Bodhisattva, the Buddhist practitioner, rests in inconceivability. In this, all things are conceivable. Huh?
Huh.
So, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't know if all things are conceivable. Do I believe all things are conceivable?
No, the
But
real question is, do you actually acknowledge that all things are inconceivable? That's the important part.
that's
That's
what yeah.
not that they're conceivable, yeah,
Yeah.
because our conceptions is what makes everything small, right? We look at a wasp, let's say, and we go, it's a wasp, and then we have all these preconceptions about wasps, and then mostly what we do is kill them,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I was saying as I don't agree that we can conceive everything. Like I don't think that we can. We can't conceive everything is what I was saying.
Hi, hi,
Yeah.
hi, hi. But again, if we rest in that as a fact, not as a passing idea,
Yeah.
right? And we really then look at this is me referencing to you some weeks ago about, digging down into the unfathomability of a lima bean.
Was it it was like a there was we also did a peanut too, right?
Same
We did
difference.
someone with a peanut, yeah. Yeah.
It can be, a primrose. It can be a frog. It can be you and I. It can be a
A
rain.
bird. Yeah, I was just thinking of a bird because my cat had a bird, got a bird and killed it. But I got it, and I took it out and I was holding it in like a little piece of napkin or whatever, and
Right.
just looking at it, just looking at it and just like taking away all preconceived ideas and just like, you know,
They're pretty amazingly beautiful.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, like all things like a lima bean or a person. It's just like how can, how like almost like what is this and how can it be,
Well done. Well done, dude. That's the point. That's the point. And in that state, that is what Jesus Christ called being like a little child. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's really valid. It's really, really important instead of, once again, our puny little ideas. Yeah. And again, our puny little ideas lead us into war and mayhem. Yeah. Black versus white. Yeah. I mean, that is a puny little idea. Yeah, yet it rules the lives of all of us. Yeah. And again, it's a terrible waste of life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a terrible waste of life.
and
Huh?
so the life's your bitch and they die is kind of like a small way of looking at it, and we're kind of trying to
You
open it
think?
up so
Yeah.
that you don't have, such a narrow view on how to approach it.
Well, one could say that's rather negative, don't you think?
I mean, I would hope not. That we can find an alternative way to, that we can expand our narrow views and look at the whole, look at more of the picture.
Yeah. I would say life is an inexpressible mystery and miracle, and then I die.
Yeah.
So which one do you think might be a little bit more nourishing, dude?
Yeah, seriously.
Right? Yeah. Well, again, but this takes work because we after a while because of the impact of group mind. Let's say the group mind in America. Yeah. I mean, right now, a bunch of Americans are filled with issue of Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not true in China. That's not true in India. That's not true in South America. That's not true, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yet for the masses of Americans, this is now, like an umbrella, right, that keep us from looking up at the night sky because we're preoccupied with this thing. Now, should we be preoccupied with individual freedom? Yes, we should very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should that become so much our focus that we forget the mysterious miracle that we're in the middle of? No, absolutely not. This is balance. We
Yeah.
do both. It's not
I mean,
impossible. Both. It's very easy to do both.
yeah,
Huh?
if you can't do anything about it, then it's not worth your time to dwell on it, And it's never worth your time to dwell on something like that. But to spend your whole day or even multiple days or whatever worrying about something like that, it just seems like it's a waste of a lifetime, like
Well,
there's
again, only up to until it causes you to actually vote.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
unless you
that's
do
what you
something.
do. That's what you
Yeah.
can do about it. And then you get back to the miracle and the mystery of larger life and deeper life. Huh? Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, how do we occur out of the same stuff that the Milky Way galaxy is made out of?
Yeah.
And, again, as an idea, it's like, yeah, okay, all right. But as a fact, right, it is worth contemplating just a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah. How does stardust gain the capacity of thought and commiseration. How does that? Well, Chris, it happens because of nervous system and brain. It's like, okay, how does nervous system and brain happen? Come on, come
Yeah.
on, come
Well, there's
on.
there's the other one which I've heard just recently and in a couple movies was that aliens created us, but then it's like who created the aliens? So that's another mechanism of it's like there's always gonna it's the chicken or the egg. What came first, or what can be outside of the
But
first
the
thing?
chicken and the egg has been used as a cliche so much that it
Yeah,
has no punch at all. It makes it sound stupid. Now, the fact is, the chicken or the egg cliche is a very good koan. It's a really good koan,
yeah.
right? I mean, which came first?
And or yeah, or just in the universe, what came before the first thing, or what was
So
before the first
that's
thing?
when all things return to the one. What does the one return to? That's what that koan
Yeah,
will take you into if you actually take it seriously and contemplate it. You
yeah,
know, what does the one return? What is the fucking one? Right? And what
yeah,
are all things?
yeah.
And how do all things return to the one? Yeah?
Yeah,
You know,
and how can that be? Yeah, how could it doesn't? That's why I believe that there is things that we cannot conceive because there's ideas like this, simple ideas, not simple ideas, but easy to introduce to somebody.
right,
Okay,
to use as a reference of
yeah,
mystery. Yes, indeed. Right.
that that will pretty much break your brain. There is no answer.
Right. That is correct. Yet there are intuitions available. Once again, the with the imponderables, if you want to talk about is there a potential tool, the potential tool is called intuition, as opposed to conscious dualistic thought, where things happen. Yeah, where suddenly you open up to an idea like the idea that all of this is made for you alone, you alone. All of this is made for you alone. Yeah. Now, by the way, this is a fact. See, this is not an idea. It's not whimsy. It is the truth. The paradox is that it's made for me alone too. And the miracle is that we can share these ideas.
Mhm.
Huh? So, Now, so what do you make of that? All of this is made for
Yeah,
you alone. What do you
yeah.
make of
I'm just thinking about how nobody will ever be able to experience the things I experience in the exact same way that I do.
that is exactly right.
So my experience is going to be completely unique in all of experiences throughout history. Yet,
Okay. Is there, go ahead.
yet you're having that same experience, and he's having it, and she's having it.
Your cats, and so is your dogs.
Yeah,
No, so are your cats, and so are your dogs. Yes, not yeah. I mean, this is true. It is made for each one of them as well. Each one. Each one will only have this experience as that once in forever, right? Well, that's pretty fucking majestic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and again, endlessly. If one of the things that we base value on is rarity, once in forever,
yeah,
that's pretty goddamn rare. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah.
And not just the Western culture, but I'll stick to the Western culture. We definitely value rarity, and especially with our classist structure. So I think that should be more important to people that this is probably the most rare and valuable thing that there can be.
Right. Right. And certainly for you, that is the case. And certainly for me, that is the case. And again, how is it that we do have an individual sense of being? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that allows this to be for me alone in forever and everywhere, and for you alone everywhere and forever. Same with Big Boy, same with your dogs, etc. Same with every bird.
And
See?
I think that idea only leads to compassion because if you believe that, then you understand that these.
Now, once again, I'm just going to bug you a little bit. See, we're not talking about beliefs now. We are talking about facts. These are truths. These are not ideas. You don't need to. This is not like people talking about, do you believe in the climate crisis? It's not a belief system. It's based on facts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So again, be careful with this because this we are not talking about beliefs right now. We're talking about returning to a reconsideration of facts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just thinking that most people in our country, especially the Republicans, don't really look at other people as life forms or even are considerate of other life forms,
Yeah, but
especially animals.
I could
Yeah.
care less about that. You know, why is that important?
Just because if you do look at everything as a unique being going through the same thing that you are, you might want to be a little more compassionate.
Hi, indeed, indeed. But in the meantime, the fact that Republicans or, you know, any number of people around the world never even consider this stuff, right? I
Yeah.
could care less. You know, the fact is that I have been apprised of this, and it makes no sense to me to really invest in it. And the damnedest thing, the outcome of that investment is life is renewed every single day. It's brand new every single day. Right? And it is a gift to me alone, as it is a gift to you alone. It's a paradox. Huh? Yeah?
Right.
But what you have been given is everything. Everything.
And I don't know, and it's just
Now, I'm not saying that
huh?
you own all the
Yeah,
Lexuses,
yeah.
but by God, you have been given the Milky Way galaxy, bruh.
And and like I'm just thinking on the different levels, like it's I keep going back to this and I'm trying to find a different way to say that, but it's what you do with it, and obviously it's not like I was given the earth to control or for me to dominate, but
You
I
haven't been
can,
given earth, you have been given totality. And this is why, again, I want you to continue to bite down on this word, what that actually means. Because when it stops being an idea and it becomes a fact, I promise you, it will renew your life. Promise. I promise. Anybody's listening to this, it'll renew your life. If you battle with these ideas, you do battle with them,
mhm,
right? Okay, so what? So everything's made for me. What's the big deal? Really? 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 It's not a big deal? That's not a big deal? You know, now you cannot possess these things
yeah,
any more than you can possess a human being or you can possess your pets.
yeah, and that's not what we're trying to say, I don't think at all.
Indeed, indeed. What we can do is partake.
Yeah,
We get to partake, just like we get to partake of each other. And we do it with, again, there's no sense of the mystery of being able to partake of each other. There's no mystery there. Well, yes, there is. Yes,
there should be,
yes,
if you
indeed.
don't think there is.
Indeed, indeed. And the way
Yeah,
you realign with again the nourishment of these ideas is to really tackle them. What do I actually think about this? What do I think? What does it mean to be a human being? What does that mean?
yeah,
These are words that come from Latin. You know what I'm saying? What does it mean? You know,
yeah, it's a lot to unpack,
hype,
because all of
hype.
the things that we've been told and all the words that we are using to define that, and so it's just unpacking that kind of is what is going to nourish you, I think, in the
Well,
end.
the unpacking again is actively really questioning it. Not kind of, sort of, but really, okay, you know, a human being. I guess I could say I'm a human being as opposed to a giraffe, you know. Um, and that would have a certain amount of merit. That's true. I'm not a giraffe, you know, yes, no. But again, that should take us into, well, what's a giraffe?
And or what's a human, or that's what that was my first thought is what, but that doesn't say what is a human. You're not a giraffe, but you're human. So what is a human? A human is not those things, but it doesn't explain what it is.
So go after it. Go after it. See, this is what you do. Okay, so what do I think it means to be? What do I think that means? You know, and why would I mean? You know that our species puts infinite importance on being human beings. That elevates us above all the other species on the planet. That is supposed to make us capable of love. Well, boy, we need work with that one, man. You know, right? That gives us a greater intelligence than all the other species on the planet. Equally, we're just about to destroy our home, right?
Yeah,
That is not an expression of intelligence, right?
seriously, yeah,
Seriously, yeah.
yeah,
What it really does is it leads us into a terrible hubris, yeah, a terrible hubris.
and and
Whatever we think is somehow okay. It's okay to destroy all the other species because we're more important.
yeah, that's fucked up and terrible, and I'm trying to just, I know, avoid all of that because I definitely don't believe, I don't believe that, but I do see how that can be a thought process of the masses or whatever. But yeah,
It is. It's certainly the conviction of big business and
yeah,
corporate
yeah,
world, right? The world is here, as my boy used to say, the world is my garbage can. I mean, it's like, okay, if
fucked up.
that's what you want to look at it, to me, I was thinking the other day, it's Eden. It's Eden.
Yeah.
Huh? Christ, I'm in Eden, you know.
Two vastly different perspectives, but what are they going to, what are the results of those two perspectives?
Right, right. That is exactly right. And that's why, again, this really is very, very important. What is our return? You dig? What do we come back to allow ourselves the balance, the homeostasis of being in life? Yeah.
Yeah,
And again,
yeah,
the answer is we have choice to invest in, ideas about what it is, but not, and we can work with facts. You understand? Does your brain work the same as an insect's brain? Apparently not. If we
yeah.
look at, there are no insects building Empire State Buildings and Hubble telescopes.
Mhm.
Yes? Does that mean that somehow we are fundamentally better than a fly, let's say, or an ant, which, by the way, has been on this planet for millions of years, millions. They are so effective that that species doesn't need to evolve anymore because it is efficient and effective. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a part of the system, the ecosystem, and so when you take that out, things kind of get screwed up. And I don't know if you were to take us out of the ecosystem, if things would get really that bad. I think they might get better, and so maybe
Well,
we're
Homo sapien has only been around for about 20,000 years. That's it.
yeah,
That's it. I was watching a PBS thing on butterflies, and apparently butterflies have been around for I think a couple of billion years or something like that. It's like they were back at the very beginning of life on this planet,
wow,
and they are so efficient as an expression of being that they pretty much stayed that way for at least millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Yeah. And, we're the puppy on the block. We're brand
yeah.
new. Yeah.
And we
And
act like we're the top brass, because we have opposable thumbs and we can build
indeed,
stuff.
indeed. Yeah. And look what we use our opposing digits on,
Yeah,
thermonuclear weapons, right?
killing each other and destroying our planet.
Intelligence in action, right?
Yeah. So I think it's pretty clear to say that, like, just because we have a different brain that works in this way that we do doesn't mean it's better. It's certainly not better for the planet,
So, if I may, superior is the issue, that it's superior. You
Yeah.
understand? Yeah. Now, do I think that we have a capacity that can take us all the way into considerations of what actually made all of this? And that does seem to be something that the other species don't have, right? They have the capacity of sense of self and other. They
Mhm.
have the sense. They have the capacity to know danger, which means that they are sentient.
Mhm.
Yes, but this I don't think that they do have. And I do think that because of this, we at least have the potential, right? To really open up to the miracle of life in
Yeah.
eternity. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even just a potential, it's a responsibility. We have this, like, not responsibility, but with great power comes great responsibility. It's a great power bestowed upon us, so we should take advantage of it opposed to
First thing
to
that we should do is take enough advantage of it so we're actually gaining some nourishment from the gift of being alive. Let's start with that, and then
uh,
we can take it into utility. How do we work with it? The first thing we need to do is to really, really incorporate the fact of, what is the implication of that? What does that mean? Yes? Huh? And again, that will take us into God stuff fairly quickly, I gotta
yeah,
say. Now, is there a God? I don't know. I do know that everything is made with such specificity that it then becomes beautiful. That is not a mistake.
Hmm.
It's not a mistake. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. A leaf is not a mistake. A leaf was millions of years in development,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
so
What I was just thinking about is I saw something recently that was talking about just how sophisticated, or the most sophisticated machine on the planet is the human body, and and they're breaking just each little mechanism down,
so there's hubris again. It's not the human body. It's all organic life.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I mean, can we be a porpoise?
No.
Right? I mean, what might it be like to float as a sperm whale for 80 years? What might that experience of life be like?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it seems like it's probably, with the exception of occasional orcas, it sounds pretty outstanding to me. Shit. Yeah. And, that you can talk to somebody several thousand miles away without a cell phone. I mean, that's really kind of cool, don't you think? You know, yeah, it's great. No shit.
So what's the time? We
Right.
just got a couple
Yeah.
minutes left.
All right, so understand that just in our doing this speculative dialoguing, right? We can come back to a factual understanding that at the least, before we take it any deeper, that we are in the midst of a beautiful mystery. Yes,
Right.
a beautiful mystery. Huh? And that we live in the time of the evolution of our brand new species, where again, we have the vast leisure to be able to contemplate this stuff. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm wondering for like an animal, like, do they need to contemplate that? Would it help them, at all? And for us, we do have that, capability, and so like, I don't know, just like it's just I don't know, just goes back to what I was just saying before, but like, why wouldn't you explore? Why wouldn't you try, at least try, to explore your consciousness, your brain, and
I,
reality,
and your awareness, which is different
awareness?
consciousness. You see,
Right.
this is foundational. Now, this potentially can take us into, right? We have been trained to, through I think, therefore I am, that lunacy, right?
Yeah.
We have been trained to invest in ourselves as like our t shirts. Conscious thought changes every millisecond. Yes or no?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Every millisecond. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of stability in equating that is what we are. Also, when our brain ceases to function, that is true. Consciousness stops. Yeah. Now, because we only take it that far in humanism, which is actually nihilism, right? As though that's a new thing as far as the philosophies of the world. That was one of the philosophies that the Buddha refuted 2,500 years ago. It's called nihilism.
Yeah. It's been
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
It's a long, long, it's one of the considerations. But again, and again, in our modern world, which again we have such arrogance about, it's like, no, that's the truth. No, that is an idea. That is just as much of an idea as God made us. I'm sorry. These are all ideas. And this is why Zen Buddhism is so unbelievably brilliant, because it says that any fixed idea, yes, is a mistake. They say it is a
Mhm.
donkey tethering stake. Yeah?
Yep.
Huh?
And
And
it's about unpacking these convictions and unraveling.
that's
That's gonna
exactly right, Alex.
lead.
Unpacking and unraveling. Exactly. Right? And that, by the way, is the practice of Zen Buddhism. That's what it is.
Okay.
And the outcome of that is things become more and more and more renewed and more and more renewable. I mean, if we're into renewables, for God's sake, we really need to invest in the renewability of profound thought. Thank you very much. Yes?
Okay.
Or more correctly stated, profound question.
Yeah. No, I think that's well put, and and I think it should be more important to us as a a species who cares about these things, rarity, renewability. These are pretty much the most fundamental things.
Well done. And you see, you're right. These are fundamental. So when we start to deal with fundamental question, right, then truly the miracle of life begins to become more and more you fucking think, right? Instead of, again, this terrible way of looking at life, again, which then takes us into despair. And when we are in despair, right, we tend to get really crazy and then do really nutty shit, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
history of our kind.
Yeah, seriously. Killing, war, stealing, whatever, just
The war is normalized. It's
yeah,
normal.
treating people terribly, opposed to, unpacking what we believe about a peanut and then being like, oh wait, I don't know, and then being like, what, this is actually pretty magical, and then taking that to your whole life and saying, wow, this is all magical, amazing, and then
Right.
that kind of combats life's a bitch and then you die.
You think?
Yeah.
See, no, but Alex, you just stated that beautifully with great clarity, right? This is all about balance. Now, are we dealing with conviction? No, we are dealing with question. Question. The mystery of things. And coming back to that again in honesty and humility. I don't know. How does an eye happen? I don't
Yeah.
know. Right?
Yeah, eyes are spectacular.
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
This and the unbelievable sensitivity in these, the
Hmm.
unbelievable sensitivity, yes, where you can hold these up when there is a breeze happening and feel the breeze with these things. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't know. So then we come back to a state of being open. Do you see?
Hmm.
Open, as opposed to shut down.
Yep.
Open. We then are open. And then almost anything can take us into these speculations.
Yeah, and when you're open, then almost anything can be nourishing and can
Right.
sustain you throughout life.
It sustain you is the right way of putting it. Sustain you. We need, once again, we need sustainability. The level that we're talking about it, right, is something that people don't apply sustainability to.
Yeah, just a life, just a your own life.
Your own life. That is it. Your own life. That is exactly right. Which again is unique in all of eternity. And again, this is not a belief. This is a fact. This is a fact. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
scientists would agree with this. Yes,
Yeah.
it is true. And that is why that lovely Japanese scientist, right, is always smiling. Because again, he is into question. He's so into question. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a little
Well,
child all the time.
Sagan, just beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful, huh? And anyway, all right, my dear
All right.
man. So that was good. Let's keep on with this.